Guys, she's holding our dogs hostage. Please help us.
Okay, so Koco, we're gonna loop you in. So do you remember that day when Em reached out to you?
Yeah, Sarah and I were on a training call. We were doing a Zoom, and I got a text message from New York, and she said somebody just called us and said that they're concerned about marbles. Do you know who this person is? Anyway, as it turned out, I told her, I said, I'll take care of it. I worked with Second Chances over the summer. There were 92 dogs on chains in Mississippi in a really bad situation. And I personally had negotiated all 92 dogs off of those chains. And we had 48 hours to figure something out. And I was lucky enough to have posted it on social media and begged for help. And Second Chances New York stepped in, and they're a massive organization. And they're well funded, and they're very well-oiled machine. And we had worked with them before, and they offered to help. So we went out there for 48 hours. We had to figure out, we had to get dogs off chains and get them into rescues, into adopters, and make things happen before this person had changed her mind, before too many people got squirrely, which inevitably happened. So over the summer, I was just going crazy on social media as we were pulling dogs off chains. And this is how I came to know Marbles. He was one of the 92 dogs that was out there. And Sarah did a great job of setting up a system where we could vet these rescues that were stepping up as the cards were unfolding to take in these dogs. And a lot of the rescues people had worked with before. I wasn't the only one out there. There was 15 other women. So a lot of the rescues that people had worked with before, and some of them were new rescues. And so we'd put them through our system. Sarah would vet them back here. We'd do all the cross checks. If they said who they said they were, and things checked out, then we would line them up, and we would get transport ready for them to take on a dog. And then the only person that we did not put through that vetting system was April. And she came as an endorsement from someone else that I had known from social media, and from what I had known, she had done good work. 6 years ago, I worked with her on one dog that was just over in her neck of the woods, and she did a great job of handling that. And so I took her endorsement for April, and I was on crunch time. I didn't have a lot of time I wasn't in Arizona. I didn't have a lot of time. But, just for the sake of this conversation, April didn't trick me. She didn't fool me. She didn't get one over on me. I did not follow my own rescue rules. I had limited time to figure out placement, and I didn't have to send Marbles to her, but she came highly endorsed as a special needs rescue in my own backyard. How could I not want to work with her? She would be a great candidate. Let me put you in touch with her, is what the person said to me. You gotta work with Taylor. I've sent her a couple dogs. She does great work. So that was how that came to be. And I had a conversation with her. She was a pain in the ass trying to text as I'm trying to do 9 million things on this property, not even here. And I got pissed off at her during a text message. And I thought, well, if this motherfucker can't even handle a goddamn text message, then I can't work with somebody like this. I'm already strung out. I just can't do this. And she calls me and puts everything at ease. She calls me, puts it all at ease. She says all the right things. She even said, a couple concerning things about the person that was giving the endorsement that I had already thought of, and totally just smoothed it all over. I had Sarah here at the house manning our animals, so I did not bother to get somebody to go over to April's house to do a home check before I sent a dog to her. I just, in the heat of the moment, it did not seem like the most important thing to do. And looking back, wow, look what happened. but that's how we did it. That I agreed to it, and I told her when I get back to town, I'll be back in a couple days. I want to come out and meet you, shake your hand. I want to see where Marbles is at. Well, I'll talk to the foster because she had said she already had a foster in mind that had worked with blind dogs before, and we do all that stuff. But thank you for jumping in, when we're down to the wire and really needed some help. Thanks for being here for this. And so that was how our conversation went. And I got back to town, and over the next 2 months, reaching out to her. I couldn't pin her down to get out there. I wanted to go see Marbles. She wouldn't give me an address. She kind of danced around it. I really didn't push too hard because I know how I am, and I'm really intense. And when I want something done, need something done, I expect it to be done, especially when it comes to the animals. I don't really give a lot of wiggle room for niceties. And so I was really doing my best not to be me in that regard, because we don't work with a lot of rescues in transferring, because that Sarah and I do so much behavior work. And there's just not a lot of people that do that. And so I know if it's a behavior case, if it's with us, the dog's going to have an A+ record from the moment they get here until their last dying breath. It'll never be a concern. So we just don't do a lot of animal transfers. But what I don't do are puppies, because I've had parvo before. And so in the past, once in a while, we'll come across puppies that need to be somewhere. And there's another rescue here in town that we've worked with, 2 of them, but that we have handed over puppies, done the transfer. And when I've done that, I've never followed up to see where the puppies are. The rescues will usually let us know, hey, the little ones, they got adopted, or, they always let us know, just as a courtesy. But I know they're solid, because we've worked with them before. I've followed their stuff. I know they're fosters. So I never go out of my way to find out where the dog ended up. And that was kind of, I think, where my head was at with Marbles. She just came as such a high endorsement that I wasn't just hitting the pavement, pounding on her door. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I had kind of backed off, and I reached out to her about every 2 weeks to see, hey, can we meet up? Hey, can we do this? And plus, I know how the fuck rescue goes. I know how intense and busy and how quickly 2 weeks can go by, and things are just, so 1 month turned into 2 months, and that was when M ended up. I was starting to not feel right. I'd never felt right about the decision in the first place, but I was trying to chalk that up to, that's just me being me, because I never feel right. If the animal is not with me, I never feel okay about it, no matter what. I just don't, and that's just a personal how I am, because I know how thorough I am. So I just kind of chalked it up to, this is just me being me. But towards the end of that 2 months is when Em reached out to me, and I was already not feeling great, and like, oh fuck, something. How am I going to get her? How am I going to pin her down? She just seems squirrely. And we immediately got off our training call, and I got on that phone call, and she just gave me the breakdown of, this is what we have found out. And this is what we think's happening. And my whole body was just vibrating. I was just about ready to pass out. And I said, do you have an address? And she said, we have an address. And we jumped in the car, and it must have been 10 o'clock at night. We jumped in the car and flew out there 35 minutes away, which was not the address that I had previously received when I finally did get a foster address. I didn't even know this address. I had never heard of it, seen it, nothing. So we get out there, and we parked down the way, and had kind of been briefed on what was going on. And I have negotiated a bunch of dogs. That's always been, I don't deal with the law, the legalities, because nothing backs us up. It never helps. It always makes things worse. Nobody's on our side. And I had learned over the years the best way to handle situations when the animal is in despair is to, you have to negotiate it. So you have to treat the person like a person. So I really didn't think that this was going to turn into what it had turned into. I just went in with how I treat all of them, and we showed up and knocked on the door, and we could just hear 50 plus fucking dogs. You could just hear massive and massive and massive amounts of dogs from every window, every part of that house. And you can smell it. What Becca's talking about, that smell, is just, it's different than what you might think, poop and pee smell like. It's different. It's different than decay. I don't even know what it is. I've never smelled that smell before. And I've worked a lot of fucked up cases. I've never smelled that. And we could smell that walking up to that door as we're walking up, and not really knowing what we were going to do. Knocked on the door. All the animals are going. Nobody's answering. So we ran back to the car, and I have paper, and I write on the letter. I had already called her and she wasn't answering. And I write on the letter on this piece of paper, and I just said, Taylor, I heard that you got a lot going on, and I totally understand. I just want to let you know I'm here to pick up Marbles. I'm going to help you out. I'll go ahead and pick him up. I was just stating things as though they were going to happen. I wasn't asking her. I was just telling her what I was going to do. I'll go ahead and pick him up, and I'll help you with those dogs that you got. If you need to find some rescues or adopters, I can help you with that, because social media can be a real bitch. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make sure that she knew that if things weren't handled, that the world was going to find out about this, and it wasn't going to end well. And I also didn't want to threaten her, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where my dog was. I didn't know, there was just a lot of uneasiness about all of it, but I needed to make sure she knew. And, the other piece of that, I think maybe from like an egotistical standpoint, is I know how I am, and I know how I handle things, and I know the audience that follows what I do. And if I have stamped our name on it, it's going to be finished. And I couldn't imagine that somebody would know my platform and fuck with one of my animals, is really what I thought. I wouldn't believe it. I couldn't believe. When I get to that point, I'm scared of me, and I wouldn't want to cross my path. And so I really couldn't believe that she wouldn't return my dog to me with just some niceties of, let's just figure this out, and we'll keep it off the radar, and we will help you. And so we had left that note, put it in her windshield. And when we walked back up, we heard somebody in the house say, "Shut the fuck up," to the dogs. And so I knew she was there. So we stood there for about another 10, 15 minutes and just knocked and obnoxiously knocked to make those dogs bark, to cause commotion, just kept going. And finally, realized, okay, she's not going to answer. So we got in our car. By the time we got home, it was about midnight. And I got a text message from her. And I hadn't heard from her, at all. And I get a text message from her that says, "Were you just at my house?" And I said, "Hey," all nice and happy. "Hey, April," or whatever I called her, Taylor. "Yes, we were. I'll be back tomorrow to pick up Marbles. No big deal. I know you got a lot going on. Let me know how I can help you." And she said, "It's inappropriate to show up this late at somebody's house. I don't need your help, Koco. You have enough dogs of your own you need to take care of. Marbles has been adopted." And Sarah and I both knew he hadn't been adopted. Mm-hmm. I think early on we knew that he wasn't with us. But unless you have that confirmation, you can't not. Mm-hmm. Because what if? And I just replied back, there's this, Les Brown does this talk. I've listened to it 1,000 times, and he calls it the Mr. Butterball technique. And it's basically like, you want something and somebody shits on you and tells you, "Fuck no, get the fuck out of my face." And you show up the next day with a smile on your face like nothing happened, like, "Hey, how you doing? How about that?" And you repeat it, just kind of in a different way. And I use that with people that tell me to leave, that I can't walk their dog or help them or any of that. And it always works. It's never not worked for me. So she keeps coming at me and telling me that she doesn't need me. And I'm just being very direct with her and still very compassionate and saying, "No problem. I'll be there tomorrow to pick up Marbles." I just let her know about 4 different times, "I'll be there tomorrow to pick up Marbles." And finally the text messages stop. And we had the next day we had another, I had to run to the vet for something. And I don't remember exactly the conversation between myself and M and like the rest of, because I think Kimberly, you and I had touched base at this point. I don't remember exactly where we were all at with just the discussion, but I knew I couldn't, just do what I would have, I couldn't be me about this because so many people were involved. I couldn't just be obnoxious and take what was mine and push, just be how you would be, because there were so many fucking people involved. And if I did that, it was going to be fucked up for everybody. Nobody was getting their dog back. So what you guys were talking about earlier, like how Becca had to sit back and wait, just wait this shit out until you find where that legality is and what your play is like, I don't even know how any of us did that. I don't know how any of us were able to do this, because where we're at now and the information we know now, I mean, fuck them all, I just don't know how we all sat back. But the next day, I ran to that vet appointment. I believe my intention was to go back up there and just show up again and do the same process. And before I could leave that vet appointment, I kept getting the same phone call over and over and over. And I usually don't answer my phone, or I usually don't not answer, because I'm always afraid somebody never transferred the microchip and it's to me, it's one of my dogs so that I've adopted or something. So I always answer my calls, and my phone the ringer had been off. And when I pulled it out, I saw I had like 5 missed calls from the same number. It had all zeros at the end. And It finally popped back up again. I'm like, oh shit, here it is. I told my doctor, hold on, let me take this. And it's Chandler Police Department telling me that I have been trespassed on this property. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, no, what? I swear to God, I thought they got it backwards. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. On the property out where my dog is? And he said, yes, ma'am, you are no longer legally allowed to go back there. If you go back to this property in the next 2 years, you will be arrested. And I go, no. And I got so fucking pissed. And I go, you have it wrong. You're mistaken. That woman has my dog. She stole my dog. There are about 50 other dogs out on that property. Somebody has to go get those dogs and give them back to us. What are you saying? I'm trespassed on this property. And he goes, you are Koco Garcia? Yes. Okay, well, so-and-so, I don't even remember what he called her. Did you show up at her house last night? And I go, I sure did. And I asked her how I could help her because I didn't want to bother the police. She has far too many dogs for that little tiny house, and it reeks of death and shit. There is no way that those animals are okay. They're all special needs animals. They need out of there. She needs help. I'm trying to help her, and I'm just trying to politely get my dog back to get one less off her plate. And he said, well, that's not what she said. She is just saying that you're not allowed back there. She doesn't want you back there. So I'm just telling you right now, if you go back there, you will be arrested. And at that point, you could tell, even without me knowing all the background of everything that had happened, and the police and animal or humane had already been involved to the levels that they were, or reached out to, you could tell they were fucking over it. Like, they were just, Jesus Christ, these fucking women, like it very much felt like a bunch of rescuers gave up their dogs and now they want them back when they don't feel like that it was what they thought it was supposed to be or something. It wasn't, they were irritated at us. And we got home that day and I got another message from April, and I didn't even talk about the trespassing. I didn't want her to know that I was informed of it. I still acted like no big deal. And she messaged to tell me, I forget what it was, but it was something very, just to I think she was just trying to feel me out to see where I was and let me know that Marbles had been adopted. And I said, I've been asking you for pictures. You've never shown me any pictures of his adoption or where he's at. And I would love to know I would love a picture of him or a video of him from, his current status, where he's at now. And she said, I can do that. And I said, great, I'll wait for that. And then I didn't hear back from her. And I messaged her. Anyway, we played this game for the next 2 days. For the next 2 days, she does this with me and fucks me, just puppeteering me. And I keep, hitting an angle. Every time I hit an angle, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to get her. Like, I push her into a corner, with tactical empathy where she can't really dodge it, and she fucking dodges it. And I got to after the 2 days, it was blindly evident that no one was coming to help us. I knew immediately, this is us. Nobody's coming to help us. And that was when I had the conversation with you guys. We've got to take it to social media. We have to. There's no way around it. And I knew that this could potentially, throw my own rescue down the drain. I had to tell Sarah, I fucked up. And this might ruin us. We've built all this credibility. We've done all this good work, and it just takes one time of a really bad decision, a poor decision, a quick decision to lose it all. And I go, if it does, we'll rebuild. We'll just have to rebuild. We'll do it again. But I have to tell the world what happened, because they are the only ones that will go to bat for us. And I know we can do it because we've done it before. I've never been involved directly with a situation like this, but because of how I operate with social media, I have helped other situations, and I have been instrumental in getting situations resolved, because when I got good at social media, I got good on purpose because I needed help. I needed help with these animals. I needed people to know what was happening. And I learned that if I could make the audience feel what I'm feeling, they'll come. They'll show up in droves. And that's what had to happen. And I knew that this would potentially stir, how could you, all those comments, things that you deal with. But in the same sentence, that was, we were going to take it, because what else were we going to do? And so that brought us to the next point of talking to you guys about that, and everybody getting in agreement with it, that this was the option that we had to go. And, it wasn't just going to throw me under the bus, but it would whoever else was involved as well. People were going to want to know, how did you let this happen? How could you have how can you be this person over here, and then this happens? And we'd have to own up to it. We would have to own up to it. But I knew it would work. And I think that was on a Tuesday, because I remember wanting to post a video on that Thursday morning. There was a certain time on that Thursday that I needed that content out there. And it took us, whatever was going on for those 2 days in between. Thursday was just it's a bigger day in the week, where I knew that we could garner the audience and grab that attention the way I wanted to, and we could ride it out through the weekend. And if it hit right, we were going to make a lot of moves. I don't really remember if it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, but anyway, that was the discussion with everyone. And I just kind of took the reins on that and said, I'm going to put the content together. And then I remember talking to Becca, or who I think I was in a group chat, and I remember letting you guys know, because there's so many dogs, for this to capture the audience's attention, we have to have a focal point. There needs to be one dog somebody's fighting for. People need to know one. They need to have a face. They need to have a name. They need to be connected to this dog, so that they will go to bat and they will stay with us throughout the whole thing. And so we had talked. I said, I'm going to use Marbles, because that was the dog I knew in this situation. I didn't know as much as everybody else. I had barely just gotten the Trello board and I just couldn't see straight. And then I got to know, more of Becca, and someone had sent me the footage of Becca and her asking for Butters and Checo. And I knew those dogs were the reason that this had transpired. And so I took that footage and that audio and created a reel about what happened in a 60-second, jumping in there, begging for help, showing what happened, immediately grabbing everybody's attention of, I think I started it out with, she's holding our dogs hostage. Mm-hmm. And that was an important hook that had, like, I spent a lot of time, you know, it was hard. It was really fucking hard making this content because you're so emotionally just, you can't compute what's happening. And at the same time, you got to keep your brain on straight, like Becca did for those months of doing this, because you have to deliver. Like, you get one shot, you can't fuck this up. And just, I remember driving and telling Sarah and coming up with that, like, this is what we have to say, this is what it's going to be. And I spent however long trying to film that, and then just trying to quickly tell who she was, and it worked. I mean, ultimately it worked. You know, it didn't go as viral as I thought it would have, but because we had everybody sharing it and putting it out there, that was what started it. And that was the push that we needed for Humane, for the police, for everybody else to know this, something really fucking terrible happened, and nobody's helping us, and so now we need you guys to help us. And if my full belief is, you know, a lot of everything kind of stemmed from that of, what do we do next? I think is where we were able to track, like, okay, now these entities, these organizations, the Humane Society and Police Department, now they're either going to do something or they're going to be humiliated because they didn't do something, and we're all here, like, who's doing what, and we just keep coming back to social media. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened, and we're just as frustrated as they are. You know, they're pinging us back and forth, and we're all over here losing our mind, and trying to get attorneys and trying to get. So then the next conversation was, after that initial post goes out, was we need to go down to city council. And Kimberly, I don't remember what I remember thinking that night. I don't know where you were, but God, I wanted
Washington. I was still in Washington.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted somebody to take over my spot so bad. Oh my God, I did not want to be there. I didn't want to be a part of this. I didn't want to speak. I didn't know, like, I was given kind of I want to say strict instructions, and I don't even remember who told me. It must have been
I remember
Becca.
Coco, you called me and you were like, what do I say?
Oh yeah, it was you. I was gonna say, because I remember it being somebody I highly respected, so I knew I had to do it, but I just didn't want to do it.
And I think Coco, I told you, like, they don't have me. I can't remember the frequency of their meetings, but I was like, today's the day. You have to go today. You are the person. Yeah. I would go myself, but I'm in Texas. And if you don't go today, then the other opportunity is, I think, like 2 weeks from now or a month or something like that. So I was like, I'm sorry, but by default, you're the person.
Yeah, but you were the perfect person.
You were the perfect person.
And it worked out the way it needed to.
Yeah.
You know, we rallied. We got a bunch of us to go down there. At that point, now we're more up to speed on city council and working with the laws out here, but I didn't even know what city council did. I really didn't. I didn't know it was going to be that professional. I kept thinking it was going to be a little boardroom with just a couple people in there with glasses, and we're just going to come in and say whatever, but I had no idea it was going to be like this. And so when we did speak on that was, I didn't know what I was going to say, but I knew that I needed to let them know. My main, like, in that, as soon as I started talking, it was the same thing that I did with social media. Like, I needed them to feel what we felt, and I needed them to know I wasn't pointing the finger at them, that I took full responsibility for what had happened. And that was how I started it. And I remember talking in that and saying, I know none of us want to be here right now. I'm humiliated. I know everybody's humiliated, including me, because this isn't what I want to be known for. But here we are, and I just had said a few things that forced them to nod in agreement with me as I was speaking to it. And that was, as soon as they nodded, I knew that we were in a good spot. I knew that help was coming. You know, I knew that something was going to happen. And gratefully, you know, it was filmed, and we were able to use that and take it back to social media. Like, that mattered. That was a big deal. And the news was there, and, you know, we were getting a lot of media attention, which is exactly what we needed to happen for this. And anyway, and so those were the little pieces that were kind of insignificant behind the scenes, but you know, I talk about it all the time. Social media is the reason that we got this, like that it happened. I mean, obviously, I don't know how long it would have taken for me to ever really realize, like, this isn't just somebody that's busy with rescue and kind of shrugging me off. She's a fucking straight up sociopath. You know, had Becca not done what she had done.
Right.
So that was, anyway, so that, I think that just brought us up to, within that week after that, you know, second or third piece of social media, then Shira showed up and they're taking all the dogs.
Also, I think it's important to mention that when you say we went to social media, we kept going to social media. We weren't just shooting impulsive selfies and posting them in our story and screaming and calling names. We knew that whether we had the ability or not, we had to find the self-restraint to be eloquent and communicative, strategic, but also enough of an emotion to catch the audience, to connect with the audience. And then it took voices, you know, and I always struggle with saying this, but I'm going to take the opportunity to say it today. You know, I've played the long game with my platform, and so has Koco. We've played the long fucking game. You know, and when I say the long game, I mean, I've turned down some superficial privileges and opportunities, and I've circumvented jumping in on the bandwagon on certain trends and things on social media that I wanted to be part of, and I didn't, because I had to put the integrity of my organization and sort of what I value and what is important, because now when I go to my platform and I say, I need your help, they know, shit, Kimberly needs help, because Kimberly doesn't ever ask for help. And I don't cry wolf, and neither do you, and you handle it yourself, and you take extreme accountability. And I think that's why when you joined the force, it just added, and when Shira joined, it just doubled down, and it kept adding these layers of, it's not just one credible voice who maybe had a bad day or a bad experience. It wasn't just two credible voices or three. It became like a cacophony of really credible voices and people that don't fuck around, who use social media, I believe, what it's designed for, like at least in our industry, is a tool to connect and to educate and to rally and call to action. And I think it was extremely powerful. Yeah. And then I think that, at least for me in my memory, Koco, once we activated social media, it became its own monster. And that's a double-edged sword, but that's what freed us up to then go boots on the ground, is social media. Yeah. And you probably are a mouthpiece to that. But what did you do? I can't even recall. It's all kind of a blur, but I know that at some point, the people on social media went from being the audience to the participants.
Right.
And that was key.
And that, we were sharing everything. And so involved in our DMs and people commenting and people sharing X amount of times, 10 times, calling Arizona Humane, calling Chandler Police. They took Koco's post and they took it upon themselves to be the voice and make shit happen.
It was remarkable.
It was insane.
And overwhelming.
Very overwhelming.
in every terrible and great way.
Yeah.
It's very overwhelming, and it's not fun to be the center of it at all. It's very, I don't even know that it's intimidating. It's just, it's overwhelming. And then you see the full spectrum, I think, of humanity in it. You see the people that are there just for the blood, and then you see people that are there for the purpose, and you're somehow trying to take what's relevant and important from each interaction and apply it as needed, and it's very draining.
Do you guys think that things would have played out the way they did had the social media storm not happened?
No,
nothing
absolutely not. I think
absolutely not.
A good example is like when I was there that night, the fact that they knew that everything was on social media, press was there. They're not handing me a trespassing ticket. I mean, they said some stuff and then I mouthed back off, but at that point, it was everywhere. They had to act because of social media, because they knew that everything was now going to be
Out of
made
you.
public.
It had gotten
Yeah.
so big. They were receiving phone calls. People were
Threats.
questioning. It was very, very active. And it was not going away. So if they didn't do something at that point and at least go there and actually get in the house,
And see what was
then
there.
they will be negligent. You know, like now nobody's going to be quiet until you do something.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they did something.
Next week on a podcast, law enforcement finally takes action.
Follow us inside the House of Horrors.